Gill. Titus chapter 1 verse 13. Scripture quote, "This witness is true," unquote. The apostle confirms what the poet had said. He knew it to be fact from his own experience, and by the observation he had made when in the island. He does not say that all that Epimenides, that's Epimenides, had said in the poem referred to was true. But this character, which he had given of the Cretians, and which he cites and uses to a good purpose, from whence it may be observed that the writings of the heathen poets may be read with profit and be used to advantage, if carefully and prudently attended to. For what is truth? Let it come from whom and by what means it will ought to be received. Scripture quote, "Wherefore rebuke them sharply," unquote. Not merely upon the testimony of the poet, but upon the confirmation of it by the apostle, and not because of these general and national characters, but because these things personally and particularly belonged to the persons before described, whom the apostle would have rebuked both for their bad principles, teaching things that they ought not, and for the immoralities, their lying and deceit, their intemperance, luxury, and idleness, things very unbecoming the Christian name, and therefore, since their offenses were of a hideous nature, and they lived in them, and were hardened and obstinate, and were like to have a bad influence on others, they must be rebuked sharply. Rebukes ought to be given according to the nature of offenses and the circumstances of them and the offenders. Some are to be given privily, others publicly. Some should be reproved with gentleness and meekness, and be used in a tender and compassionate way. Others more roughly, though never in a wrathful and passionate manner, yet with some degree of severity, at least with great plainness and faithfulness, laying open the nature of the evils guilty of in all their aggravated circumstances, without sparing them in the least, doing as surgeons do by wounds, though they take the knife and use it gently, yet cut deep to the quick and go to the bottom of the wound, and lay it open, so that the phrase may be rendered here, rebuke them cuttingly, cut them to the quick and spare not, deal with them not as Eli with his sons, 1 Samuel 2, verse 23, but speak out and expose their crimes, severely reprove them, that others may fear, and, Scripture quote, that they may be sound in the faith, unquote, that they may be recovered from their errors in the acknowledgement of the truth, that they may receive the sound doctrine of faith, the wholesome words of Christ, and speak the things which become them, and use sound speech, which cannot be condemned, and that they may be turned from their evil practices, and appear to be sound as in the doctrine, so in the grace of faith, or that by their works may appear to be genuine, true, and unfringed, and that they may be strong, robust, hale, and healthful, and not weak and sickly in the profession of the faith. Faith rebukes being into persons infected with bad principles and practices, like psychics to sickly constitutions, and the means of removing the causes of disorder, and rebukes, admonition, and censures. This always ought to be the end proposed, the good of the persons rebuked, admonished, and censured. End of Titus chapter 1 verse 13.